Okay. So maybe some other people will join. Okay. Where did we left off last time when we ended a bit earlier than was scheduled? What was the last thing that we did? Functions. Okay. And we talked about conditionals, right? About if statements, right? Okay. So let's start then. Okay. Everybody can see my screen? Okay. I started the chat, so we can so I don't forget like last time. Okay. So let's make course 3 folder. Okay, and let's instead of this, let's make another folder and let's say JS continuation, whatever, continuation. Inside here, we make index.html. Okay, by now you should be able to create a simple HTML page. So make a simple HTML page, and let's make a script. Say main.js. Okay, let's include this in our page. We have this, everybody. Managed to make a page, add the new script. Okay. So obviously, we don't have anything in our page. So open a console. So in our script, I don't remember if we talked. I actually don't. We didn't talk about operators. So I assume that some of you are strong programmers. I saw some pretty good GitHub repositories. I checked some of you, and but probably still need to check if about operators. How can I verify if two elements are the same? Like if two elements are equal, like 1 = 1. Yeah, so that we check for that is it's identical operator. But I want to check, for example, double equals checks what? If I say what is the difference between 1 = 1 and 1 = 1. What's the difference between these two?
I think the difference is that the first one doesn't care about type,
Yeah.
and the second do.
Okay. So, for example, if I say here one, this is what? This will check for type or not. You want? So the third one will check for type or not.
Yes.
Good, yes. And the opposite of the first one is what?
Just one equal.
Yeah. Good. So yeah, I just need to check. So that's why these are these are the basics. So you should be able to know this by now. But just a refresher. For example, if I say 1 = 1, this will work or not?
Yes. I don't know. Uh, yeah, maybe.
Be confident. Just say your opinion. It's fine.
Okay.
It will work or not? It will say true or false.
Yeah, true.
Okay. So if you remember last time, when we were comparing, when we were concatenating, right? We are talking about concatenating a string and a number in JavaScript, and the fact that the lower type is upgraded in the hierarchy, right? For example, the number was becoming a string. In comparing to values in JavaScript, it's the other way around. So basically, in our case, JavaScript will try to make a string to make it a number. So it's a downgrade. So this type of comparing, if someone asks you in an interview or something, it's called an abstract type comparison. And this one is called a strict type comparison. So anyway, the idea is that you should be very careful when you compare two values, especially in JavaScript. Most of the time, I encourage you to use the strict type comparison. You check also for type and value, because you might get equals no, doesn't exist like that. We can let's say something like this: console dire string. Let's check actually, but I in my experience it doesn't exist. So no, we don't have equals. Okay, so this is a reminder of how you check for methods. What are the available methods for a specific type? Okay, so let's. By the way, you know about the other comparisons. It's quite easy, like less than equal, greater than equal. I will not bother you with this. Also, you have in ifs. You can add and or. What else? So I will not bore you with this anymore. Fine. Let's continue. We talked about ternary operators, right? We had an example, if I remember correctly. For example, say const age equals 5 and message equals age greater than 10. You have older than 10. Okay, erase. Yeah, younger. You got the gist of this. Okay, so let's talk about arrays. In JavaScript, arrays are very used. You might be familiar with arrays from Java. In JavaScript, sorry, you might be very familiar with them from Java or PHP. There are some slight differences between arrays in JavaScript and Java. To create an array, you have two ways of doing this. For example, you can have let r equals new array 3 or whatever. And you can say console log array. So we have an empty array of size of 3. And you can also say let r equals something like this. So log array 2. Okay, and we have an empty array here. Most of the time we're going to use this one. Don't bother with the constructor way, to use the constructor with the array. Again, if you want to see all the methods of the that you could use with an array, say console var let's see, now you'll be able to check the methods that you have. For example, you have the constructor that we just used before. You have concat. If you want to add another array to your array, find, shift, push, pop. Actually, let's go through some of this. So, for example, if I do const array 3, what's this? Can I do array 3 push? Can I do something like this? From last time, you should, I think I told you. Okay, why is that? Okay, when we assign, for example, strings or numbers, or let's say const or something equals to something, actually it is initialized. It's an empty array. Yeah, the size is not initialized, exactly. So when you do strings and numbers, as a reminder, you cannot modify those values, but if you have arrays, object literals, you can push values here. So let's say we have array 3 push. Say here aside cherry and apple, and we do 3 push. I don't know, another fruit, pear. And let's check. Okay. So as you can see, you have cherry, apple, and pear in our array. Let's say we want to pop the cherry. So we can say array 3 pop. Now I say console array 3. Actually, we didn't pop the cherry, we popped the pear. Yeah, because pop removes the last element. Let's say array 3 and shift. Okay. Okay, so we put here 1. Put banana. Cherry apple. What else do we have here? Our methods. Push, pop. Put shift. So now we remove the first element, shift, move shift to the left. We can also have different types in our array. So there's no need to only have only strings or numbers. You can have array 3 push, and you can have numbers. You can have 1.2 console. So you can have also numbers. You can also push objects if you want inside. Let's see if we can push another array. Another array of 1, 2, 3. So, well, okay, so as you can see, we can have inside one array, you can have strings, numbers, other arrays, you can push objects and so on. So they are very, very versatile. You can do a lot of things with the arrays, and they're very, very used in JavaScript. Let's see how you can iterate over arrays. So let's keep array 3 then. Let's make another one. Clean the console. So let's make what happened? Equals to Jerry. By the way, is there a difference if I write with simple quotes and double quotes?
Un TP, quoi. TP en ligne.
What? Is there a difference if I write like first value is just double quotes? Okay. No difference. Okay.
Prof, il est en Angleterre, là. Il est dans le nord de l'Angleterre, il parle que anglais. Ça fait que bugger.
Okay. So let's iterate over these values. So as you saw in our methods, we have a for each method. Is this one? So we can say array for each. We have elements. So that we can console log. Optionally, you can pass an index here if you want. Put something like this. So we iterate over the values, and you can see the arrays in JavaScript are 0 tags, so they start from 0. So it's not like I don't know in Python. How is it in Python? Start from 0 for 1. That's MATLAB, I think. MATLAB will start from 1. Python will start from 0. So yeah, keep in mind that when you enumerate, if you want to have the index of something, the first element you pass 0. So for example, let's say you want the index of banana. So this. So the banana is it's an index 0. Another way to loop over arrays, the simple for loop of for should know by now for loop. Can someone dictate? Does anybody know how to do a for loop? E is less than what? E is less than what? Size of the array, okay. And E++. Fine, good. I have an array of E. Missing element of the lists. Yeah. Okay. Oh, so console log, that's fine. Yeah, need more coffee. Let's debug this. Let's see what is wrong. Don't have a length, what the hell? 0. Wait. Yeah, oopsie, exactly. That's weird. That's so weird. So anyone has any idea? Because I'm stuck. Wait. So I. Okay. No, because we said E, we initialize it here. So it's the same thing as initializing outside. That's really weird. Yeah, right. Sorry, my bad. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so we need to initialize the value. Another way, we could iterate over this. We could say there is something called a for of loop. We can say for let fruit of array can console of fruit. This is one of the most used way of looping over arrays. Don't you bother with the index. And there is another way. It's called the map. You can say array map element, and you can say here console log. So these are the ways how you can iterate over arrays. You can have except from arrays, you can also have maps and sets. I don't know if the first time we talk about JavaScript would be a great time to talk about maps. But anyway, let's say you can have let map equals new map, and we can say here map set, and you can set the first time it's a key. It's basically a hash map in Java, similar to hash map. So we can say here fruits is banana. Great. And we can say map set vegetables. I don't know. Let's put here onion, carrot. Okay. So to iterate over this, we'll go like for let's e. Let's not forget to initialize anything now. Value of map. We can say console log key plus I don't know plus value. Let's check now. So I have fruits are equal to banana and grape, and vegetables are onion and carrot. And we have another thing called sets. What is the difference between sets and map? Anybody know? Any ideas? Like from Java? No, not necessarily the order. But what else? Where the key can be anything where. So yeah, obviously, in map you can have any key you want, but the difference is that the values in the set are unique. So that's why they're a bit faster in certain algorithms. So you can have something like let's set equals new set, and we can have inside we can instantiate with an array. Let's say it's banana. Let's put another banana and see what's happening. Okay, and console set. As you can see, it's automatically filtered the duplicate value. So it's very useful when you want to actually filter stuff. They do arrays. It's very easy to just use a set, and then you convert it back to an array. So you can have here set for each. And also log length. So this is how we iterate over a set. Obviously, if you don't know the methods, you can just say console here set to bring you the available methods. We have all the functions that are available. If you see here, they are very similar to the ones in map. So map are quite similar. So if you go to the, you have has add delete clear, has delete clear, and so on. They're very close as interface values and so on. Is it clear with the arrays, maps, and sets? Do you have any questions? Okay. Are you sure about that? Okay. No protest. It's fine. So let's make this want to be clear. Yes. Waiting. What is the question? Yeah, in map you can have like for the same key. For example, look, I can have here. Actually, let's see. Let's discover this together. So let's look. Inside the map we have fruits, and now we have banana, grape, banana. So and in the set you cannot. In the set you can only have unique values. And let's actually put here. Let's try to add the number set and see if we can have numbers. As you can see, you can have the same as in arrays. You can have whatever values you want. Okay. So let's make this name arrays.js, and let's make another one main.js. Clear the slate. And let's talk about object literals. So object literals, they are similar to objects in JavaScript. Oh, okay. What do you need to ask? Okay. So you can have structured values. Like for example, you can have a student. Say const student equals to something like this. You can give it a name. Yeah, age. Can you not hear me anymore?
It's fine, we hear you. I mean, I do.
Okay. 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 So we can have a structured object like this. Let's say 8 years old. Grade. It's obviously second grade. By the way, is the keyboard too loud in the microphone, or what's happening? Is it bothering you?
It's fine.
Okay. So we have is good students. And let's put the classes here. Array, let's put, I don't know, JavaScript. Okay, so this is something called an object literal. So this is very used when you want to properly structure data. So instead of having like multiple arrays, instead of having something like this. We have, I don't know, let names equals to Quentin, whatever. Then let ages equals 80, 21. So this is kind of pointless and kind of annoying to have a data structure like this. You can just have the data structure like this. We have student 1, then we have student 2. We have different data here, and then you can just have an array of students. Was student 1. Now you can see we have the values like this. So any ideas how would I access, for example, I want only to access the name of each student. Have any idea? Because the students are inside an array. We have for loops for of. In this case, no, because this is not the proper object in JavaScript. It's just an object with a. We don't have a getter or setter here. So do you have any idea how can you? Exactly. So we have students and the index and then the name. But how can I, for example, iterate all of them and only get the name like as fast as possible? Like if you remember, we talked about for loops, maps. We haven't talked about reduce, but anyway, to the methods that we had in the arrays here, what should I use from here? Okay, for each, we could use for each. So let's go through all of them with all the methods. So we start with for loop. We have let equals 0, don't forget. Let fruit student, yes, of course. E less than student's length and E plus plus. We can have students E and name. You have this is the first one. This is quite ugly, in my opinion. You could have students for each student. So log name. You could have students map student same. So students name. What do you think? Actually, this is a question for me also. What do you think is the difference between map and for each? In your opinion? Any ideas? So yeah, you can say here let student list equals this. You can console student list. Undefined, great. Ah, yeah, because we haven't returned. We have to return something like this. We just return the student name. So you're right, map creates something. For which you just iterate to the array. There is also one JavaScript. So I always forget the syntax for this. So we have array reduce. So let's we can have let student age total equals students reduce and say total and age and return students. I have student here. Students age. This is always meeting this function. First, anyway, I'll get back to you because I always have issues to do this. The idea is that one of the elements here is the accumulator, and the other one is the element that you iterate, and you have the current value also somewhere. There are three parameters. I never remember the order. I always check the documentation for this. But clarify about strings. Okay. So are object literals clear to you? Understand what you can do with them? Okay, please tell me the question. In JavaScript, no, you can in TypeScript, which is a superset of JavaScript. Because JavaScript is not typed, you can put whatever you want inside. But with TypeScript, you can create interfaces and classes and whatever you want. Later, when we talk about object-oriented JavaScript, I will show you how to. You also can have a prototype. And then the prototype, you just put available functions for that object, like you have in our console log. Don't have anyone here, no. So we can have, let's say, console and lists. So you'll be able to add functions like we have here in prototype. You can also add, for example, you can modify the functionality of any object in JavaScript. You can just add to the prototype. Let's say, for the sake of button, you can say student list, but this is actually no. Let's keep it for the object-oriented part. You can add a method for arrays, for example. If you want to loop in your own way, or if you want to add different functionality to the arrays, you can extend. You can add the prototype of the array. But we'll discuss this when we get to the OP part. So why object literals are very important is that you can transfer data from your APIs under the form of JSON. And JSON stands from JavaScript object notation. So this is very close to JSON. I don't know if you noticed. Let's find the API. Public API. API. I just want an example of JSON, but don't have any. Anyway, so the idea is that if you want to transfer data from your server-side application to your client, your UI, you transfer data using JSON, which is JavaScript object notation. If you want to convert object literal to JSON, you can just say, let's say, JSON equals JSON stringify. You put student list. So log JSON student. And now this value is ready to be sent over the network. Valid JSON. If you look in our code here, we have actually let's put the entire code not student list for students. So we have like this. You have name, age. So what do you see? It's different from the object literals in our JSON. What's different between JSON and object literals, in your opinion? Any ideas? Like this is our object literal, and this is our JSON that we would send over the network. If you want to post the two students, you want to post them to a server-side application. We send them like this. What is different? Why don't we send like this and we send like this over the network? Okay, no ideas. So first of all, as you can see, the properties are escaped. Yeah, but it's the string version basically of the object literals. So you see the properties in the object literals are escaped. We have double quotes, and yeah. So we have like to be able to, let's go to JSON formatter. Actually, JSON formatter. If you pass from here, if you can pass like this. Let's see if you can copy this. No, not to avoid code injections. It's just to avoid the format of JSON requires that the properties are escaped, so are strings, like the name and age and grade and everything. So this is basically the biggest difference between the object literals in JavaScript and JSON. So remember, every time you send, for example, if you make a request to some endpoint, some API, you have to stringify first object literals, because otherwise you might get a corrupt request, and it's a very, very common error that you get when you make requests to an API. So if you go to JSON formatter and you pass this one, you see that the JSON that they got from our object literal is this one. By default, they escaped everything. The properties are strings. They are ended by a colon and so on. And basically, it's the same thing that we did with JSON stringify. If you want to get back, for example, if you want to say const literal student, you can just say JSON, I think it was parse. You can parse that string, that JSON, and you can get back an object literal. So you have JSON student. Now I console log. Log student. Now we are back to our object log. So we converted from this to JSON and from JSON back object log. I hope this is clear for you. I think I didn't explain it very well, but the idea is that whenever you want to send JSON over the network, you have to convert it like this. Okay. We haven't talked about wires and do wires, but I assume that you know how they work by now. Other languages. So we're not gonna talk about those. They're boring. So let's talk about OP now. So this is JSON, and let's make another one. Main.js. Just commit this for you. So we use JSON to transfer data over the network. If you want to communicate with your server-side application, you use JSON for that. Give you an example. I don't know, like we're only going to make a single page application, hopefully today. You're going to see that to transfer the information to your server, to store it to your server, for example, you need to convert it to a JSON and then send it. Obviously, if you use a framework like Angular, this is done for you automatically. But if you make your application from scratch, you have to remember to convert to JSON when you send over the network. So arrays, oops, and JSON. Should have the code now. Okay, so let's talk about OOP in JavaScript. The old way of, because someone asked about prototype, someone that knows a bit of JS asked about prototype. The old way of creating classes and objects in JavaScript was to just create a simple function, let's say function person, and you give it a first name and last name and date of birth. And inside you say this first name, this last name equals last name, this date of birth. Okay, so this is basically an object in JavaScript for you. Lesson over. The idea is that here you can have, let's instantiate this. Let's say let person equals new person. And we have my name. Okay, don't remember that. And date of birth. And 2010, of course. And console person. So now you see this looks a bit different from the object levels. So, we can see that we have a proto attribute that shows us the available functions in this object. So by default, we have the constructor, which you used to instantiate. And you see the arguments, so you can see should take the constructor and so on. See the argument somewhere here. Anyway, so let's see how we can add a function to this, class. So remember, this is the old way of doing it, but if you see something like this, don't get scared. It's normal. So you could have something like person prototype. Like your colleague was talking about the prototype of the object. Say you have get name, and it's equal to a function. Say here return this this first name and this last name. So now if you look in our prototype here, see that we have the function get name. Now if we use in our console log, we say console log person get name, we should see this. Basically, this is how you add functionality to your object in JavaScript. Is it clear? We add functions. Okay, so this is the old way. The new way, it's called the ECMAScript 6 way. Basically, it does the same thing under the hood. So you need to keep in mind that it's basically the same thing, but it does it nicer. It's called code sugar. It's basically a wrapper over all of this stuff here, which is, let's face it, not very nice. So we can have something like class student, something like this, and you have constructor. Here you have name. I'll just keep name and related word. This or name and age. So it's simple. I say here this name equals name and this age equals age. So what's nicer is that because someone asked about the default getters and setters. Let's make this like this with underscore. So the properties are with underscore name and underscore age. And you can say get and have name. Name becomes a function now. You have return. My name is plus this name. Always never forget this this is very important in JavaScript, the scope where you call a specific function. So for example, this here refers to the scope of the student class. Okay. Return, okay, so we have set name. Let's say here this name equals name, plus here we can have let student equals new student like this, default way. And 21. And we can console log student dot now we have like this. So for me, this is nicer, but again, under the hood, what's happening is exactly this. So before. So this is called code sugar. Obviously, you can have functions. Function calculate age. Return, let's say not that is old. What for name? Yes, it's possible to cast it. The simple way is to, like in this case here, because we concatenate with a string, it will always be a string. Because here we actually force the value of the string. So we can also say something like return new string this name. So basically you force it to be a string. But this is enough because when you concatenate it something like this, you just simply just say something like an empty string plus this forced as a string. Here for you? Understand why? Let's say if we let's actually make a student instead of content, we say here something like this. Return. Let's finish this function. This age is greater than 18. Okay, so it gives me some TypeScript hinting from another part, so it's kind of confusing me. But so let's see what's happening here. Identify what? So yeah, because I have TypeScript installed on this computer, it's trying to force it to have a type. I have something in my TypeScript config that says that this function has to return something, and because this is not a TypeScript function, it's confusing the IDE. Make it like this, it should be fine. Having a function, just trick the IDE in TypeScript like this. Instead of having a function before, you can just declare function like this. Or if I want to have an arrow function, how would I do it? Anyone? Anyone about arrow functions I told you about last time? Okay, no one. So an arrow function looks like this. Is young. Yeah, so we declare, as a method, we declare like this, but without function before. Because if I said function before, it was tricking my IDE's TypeScript config, and just put the function like this, or is young like this, or a simple function, simple method. So return this age less than 18. That's what we call. Okay, so we have duplicate this. Oh. We have student is old and is young. You can see the student is old and it's not young. But we were talking about the name. We can type off name. See what we get. We see the type of a student name is string because we force it. Cast it like this. But if I just remove this for the name, type is a number. So is it clear about the casting? Let's new string. Let's see what's happening. So the funny thing is that when you cast it as a string, it becomes an object in JavaScript. So so the simpler way to just cast it as a string is just concatenate the string. Okay. Let's go toward we'll talk about OP more when I discuss about Angular. Do you have any questions here regarding the two ways of declaring functions, declaring classes? Okay. Should we talk about the structuring or not? So there is another thing called the structuring, but maybe we leave it for some other time. The gist is that you can say something like name h equals to student. This is not work. It will work with object literal. So if you have, like, for example, const, I don't know, const language equals to something like or I don't know, animal, something like legs is 4 and eyes is 2. You could have something like this. Legs eyes equals the structure animal. And here that if we console log, so what we get. We should be able to, well, the TypeScript is annoying in this case. Something like this then. And also log eyes. So as you can see, we can assign, for example, we can extract values from object literal. I think even, let's see if we say let. For the student, let's say name and age equals student and console log name console log age. It didn't work for the student because we didn't define student. We don't have a getter for the age. But we could say, for example, here instead of age, we can have something like this, underscore age. Now we have the age. Fine. Right? Yeah, we need the get age. This age. So that's broke it. But the idea is that you can structure an object or an object equals to variables if you want, something like this. So if you want a quick assignment to variables, instead of just going like name equals student name or age equals student age, you can use a structure this way. Okay. So let's go to DOM manipulation and talk about how we can actually do something with JavaScript in terms of functionality on a website. So objects OP and OP. Okay. So let's see here. Let's create some markup in our web page. Let's create some I don't know. Put a div with an ID of person. Let's put the class of big div. Doesn't matter what class you put. Yeah, more than this. So big div. And big div here. This is a person. So just create some divs, one with an ID and some others with some classes. This is what we have here. And let's put a button here. So button, an ID of BTN. So the idea is to have a way of manipulating this this data here without leaving the page, without refreshing. And this is where JavaScript comes into play, which is very, very nice because we can add effects, we can add animations, we can have form validation, whatever. So what you need to understand, the first thing is that the first document, the first element in our page is called is the document object model. It's called a window model. And for example, if we have in our case here, if you just let's say console window, we give you basically the entire page, so with all the nodes and everything. So you have all the elements here. You have we can access the scroll bar. You can access the I don't know title, whatever. You can even go to another page if you want. For example, in our main.js, let's say here we say window application replace. We say here google.com. Now when we load the page, should go. Share about it not from what? Our script is not Ah, yeah, because I've checked, of course, as usual, is outside. So you see now when I load the page, we this, and if I start the web server, it will automatically go, or when the page loads, it will automatically go to Google. So I can navigate to some other pages using JavaScript if I want. So we're not going to do this now because it's going to be very, very annoying later. So this. And yeah. We have our page. Okay, so if you want to see the available methods for the window object, how would you do it? Any ideas? Anyone? Exactly. So someone is paying attention. Yeah, you can check documentation, obviously, but if you don't want to leave the page, you can just say console here. You're going to see the available methods. So let's select some of these elements. The main two ways of selecting vanilla JavaScript, like without using the framework like jQuery, it's by using the get element by ID or using a query selector. You can also there is also an older way. There's an old school way. It's called get element by class name or by tag name. But the difference between them is it's what they return. So I'm actually going to show you. Let's say that we have person. So let's say let person equals to document get element by ID, and here we put person, and we want to select all the divs with the class of big div. We can say let x equals document query selector O. Here, if you remember from CSS, you can just specify the class. We have big div. So we can console log person and console. Let's start the console. So as you can see, in the first tab we have this element selected, and in this one we have a list of nodes. We have basically it's a list of objects that are with this elements here. So another way to select this, there is let divs equals document element by last name, I think, and here put big div, and we console log result. Let's see what we get. So as you can see, the first time we have a node list, and for the second one we have HTML collection. And this is the old way of doing this. Obviously, they have different methods, and be very careful with how you select these elements on the page. Like if you can see, we have properties that some of the properties are the same, but some are different. So the way I recommend to you do is that you use only this two elements, or you can have also let first say equals document query selector big side of string. And so the idea is that this way, old school, not really used. So we use this way, get element by ID, or query selector or query selector. With this tool, for example, the query selector, you can select any element in your page. Let's say, for example, person, just like in CSS. So let's check. You can see we have the same with selecting with query selector, just like the get element by ID. What we can do with this is that we can exactly like all the selectors, select everything, and say let all equals document query selector. Let's say here something like this. You get everything. See, you got the entire page. So you can use all the selectors that you know from CSS to get elements from the page. Other questions? Okay. So I'll comment this. So since we have this this div, let's look a bit of let's look at the properties that we have. So if you want to put here big div 1, 2, 4, so we know them. Something like this. So we selected all the divs, this one here. So let's try and remove, let's remove, for example, person. Let's say person dot remove. Now, as you can see, we don't have any person in the page. So this is how you can remove an element. We can say after that, let's say divs class, I think class elements, child, remove. So we target the last one. For cannot read properly remove one defined. That's it, because I don't know all these methods by my head. So let's see what we have here. Last, maybe. Last element child is move. What? Oh, that's weird. So anyway, we can also have we can use the array methods if you want. We can say it's let's see what's happening. Of course. It's so weird because Yeah. Anyway, to see why this is not element chat should work. But anyway, now in the properties there was no. I need to come back to this. Okay. Let's see if we say something like this. Children. Of one inner HTML equals to, I don't know, let's put some paragraph inside. Yeah, so nothing works for this. Really stumped why this is not working. This was the documentation script. Well, let's see. This is working. This is the constructor of the div, and let's consolidate this of 0. It's possible, but we return a list. We have an old list here. We can say here it's 0 text equals wow. Yeah, it changed. This is really sketchy. Or maybe I'm not very. I don't really do this a lot of time. I'm using frameworks to select all of this, like jQuery or Angular. This is what happens when you don't have the practice with vanilla JavaScript. So I apologize for this. So the issue is that I don't have enough practice with selecting elements like this and manipulating them directly like this. The idea is that it should have worked. You should have that method, but I don't understand why there's not in the big node list. Anyway, so we select the text for the first one. So inner text for the first one, and we can say divs one inner HTML, and we can pass inside the paragraph. So this time works. So let's check why HTML. We don't have an inner HTML. Great. So for each element, for this one, we don't have an inner HTML. We have only inner text. Great. Awesome. Yeah. Anyway. So let's add some styles here. So let's say style. The styles. Let's say class red a color red. Here, say class pink, color pink. Okay, so let's see if this one works. Let's say divs times 2. The second div, we have class list, add, and I put here pink. See what happens. So we have the second one is we changed the class, so we added a new class, this guy here. As you can see, we added a new class. And for the second one, class red. Okay, so it should be fine. The same, you can change the background if you want. You can do this, all of this stuff. Anyway, let's do something with the button. The buttons, if you remember in the first lesson, we had an on-click event on the body. We can do the same. We can add event listeners to different elements of the screen. You can listen for blur, mouse out, mouse in, and so on. So how you can do that is that you can have, let's see if we got the button here. We have a button. So let's say button equals document with element by ID button. ID or class, that's it. Okay. So we can have, you can say here that button add event. So we can listen to click, for example, the event of click. The same, if you want to check the events that you have on a specific element, just say console dir on that element, and it will show you all the events. So we can pass here anonymous function like this, or use a normal function like this. And the function takes as an argument, takes an event here. So we can console, first of all, we can console log the event and see what we get here. So obviously, get element by ID is not so, typo, get element by ID. Obviously, there's nothing in the console because we haven't clicked. So if you click on the button, you can see that we have an event. And we can get the position of the mouse. We can get I don't know, the offset, target, which is the element that we clicked on. So we can see that the type is made and so on. What is the form action? So you have a lot of properties that you can use. You can change the style if you want. These are some of the elements that we can listen for on the mouse, on the button. We can also say like, let's copy this. Let's look a bit on other events. So you can have one mouse over, I think. Have one mouse over. Say on mouse over. You can console log something like mouse is over the button. And let's put a mouse out. I think it's mouse out. Mouse leave. Oh no, this is mouse out. And mouse out. So no. I'm also look on the actually let's check. So oh, it's a mouse over. I'm pretty sure about it. But on mouse over, we have one. And let's see. Let's see. Also this one. Let's actually add the x 0, 1, x 0. It's really weird that it's not working again. Let's check the documentation. On mouse over. It's not on, it's just mouse over. My bad. It's mouse over, mouse out. Yeah. So again, I don't expect you to remember all of the stuff. Just I want you to get the process of debugging your own mistakes, your own issues. As you can see, it's there's a lot of stuff that you cannot remember everything by the top of your head. That's why you always have to use the documentation. Always have to check the methods, the events that are available to you. So let's go back to our page. You see, mouse is over the button, mouse is not over the button. So in time, with practice, with more practice that I have, obviously you'll be able to do this on your own without checking the documentation. But again, I'm sorry for the lack of knowledge. What we can also do is that, for example, we can combine these events with what we did here. So we can say, let's say for div 1, let's say a mouse over, we add say here divs 1 class list remove pink. When the mouse is over, remove pink and we add red. And when we leave, we change them. So red and add pink. As you can see, you have like this very simple hover effect, which you could have done via CSS. And I recommend you do it via CSS. But if you want to change the appearance of something on your page via JavaScript, you can do it. So anyway, let's look. Let's make a form actually here, and let's see how we can submit a form and how we can capture the event of submitting the form. So name equals blah. We don't care, and we put input button type submit and value was submit. We give an ID to the form. equals, I don't know, my form. And give the ID is blah, we don't care. So how can I target this form now in JavaScript? Form is equal to what? Query selector. Great. Query selector or by ID is the same. Oh, it doesn't matter. Just connecting to the matrix. Get element ID my form. It is my form. It is my form. Yes. Okay, so we can add here. We can say form add event listener. We can say submit. Yeah, right. Function. So this function here will always take as a parameter the event that it's generated. So what we want is that when we submit this form, we don't want it to go through. We don't want to submit the data. We want to validate it first. So we want to prevent the default behavior of that form. So we can say here event default. Now we can just validate your data. So you can continue. You can continue to either submit the data or I don't know, do whatever processing that you want. So let's see if this works. Now, if we say something here, nothing is happening. But we can let's see if we can say something like log value. See if this works. So when I submit something here, then we find we can we need to take the input for all input. So this ID is black. We can give it and get element by ID black. Supposed to be value. So when I submit, we get the value of the input here. Okay, so some other thing. Let's say, let's go back to our button. So let's say we have a button here. Let's say let increment for 0. So when we click the button, we want to increment the value somewhere. So let's say in div2, say text equals increment. Let's see what's happening. See, every time I click on the button, I increment this. Something else we can do is that we can set, for example, a counter if you want. So let's say, first of all, we can have delays. So we can say set timeout. Set timeout takes 2 arguments. First is a function, anonymous function. The second argument is the delay. Let's put the delay is in milliseconds. For example, 1000 is 1 second. So we can say, I don't know, 3 seconds. And we want to say something to console log. Let's say console log started with delay. Now when we refresh, we wait, and you see after 3 seconds started with the delay, the function works starts. It's called delay. You can also do something like this. You can say set interval. This is gonna say it's gonna run 3 seconds delay. The set interval takes the same anonymous function and the interval that you want. So let's say each second you want to increment some value somewhere. So here we can say for div1, if one in the text we say let's add another 0. We say it's equals to int2. Now, basically made a counter here. This is the other one started with the 3 seconds delay. This is going to count forever. We can stop the interval. We can say interval equals to set interval, and here we can say if int2 equals 10, want to stop, say clear interval pass interval. How many people did I lost here? It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. I'm sorry, this lesson is it's a bit boring because basically the basics of this, and I really want to I really want you to have this before we go to Angular. So let's see if I refresh this. We started, and let's see if it gets to 10. We started with a delay. And what's really cool is about this is that these are asynchronous. So they run in, let's say, separate threads, let's say. So you see the 10 wasn't called because we stopped the interval here. Okay. One last thing. There is a way of storing data, even if we are talking about client side. There is a way in storing data in the client's browser. There's something called local storage and local session. What do you think is the difference between them? Between the session and the storage of the browser? Any ideas? So yeah, every time we refresh, the session is reinitialized. Yeah. So in storage, we can put data and we can keep them between storage. Yeah. So I need to remember where do we look for storage. Should really need to okay, here. I should really need to start preparing these lessons before and actually practice. Sorry for all the stuff. So we can see in local storage in here, we don't have anything here. In the session, we don't have, actually have something. I think this is some of my plugins that I have in my browser. These are your cookies. As you can see, Google is following me everywhere. Exponea is a tracking service from some shop online shop that is tracking all my clicks and my preferences. And here it's this is a Sublime text editor Xdebug cookie. This is used for debugging with some other text editor that I have. So anyway, this is if you want to see the cookies and if you want to see who's tracking you, you can go in, like in application cookies. You can check what cookies are attached to your browser. You can delete them obviously if you want. Don't want people to follow you. You can also set cookies with JavaScript. But anyway, we're not going to talk about this today. Let's look a bit in local storage. So for local storage, you can just call local storage. I guess that's easy. You can set item. Let's say we put here fruit. And inside we can say banana. And if you want to retrieve it, you can say fruit or local storage get item. It's basically like a map. So if we restart, now local storage, you can see we have our fruit. And I didn't console this. So log. This is how you can retrieve it. So this is pretty simple. So the fun part with this is that you can, let's say, make a GDPR. So let's say, let's make another variable. Let's say page view was 0 initially, and we say local storage set item views here page view. And we do here, actually let's put here page view plus plus. So we can say here if page view, actually let's do it directly, let's say local storage item use is greater than 3, or let's say it's greater than 2. You can say alert stalking. So, for example, this is a way you could check, I don't know, for how many times the form is submitted. If you have someone that submits 10,000 times the form, or 10 times the form very, very fast, it's a way you can just check. As you can see, views is now 0 if I refresh. For some reason, why is this not incrementing? Because yeah, let's increment this before. Equals local storage get item. Then check here if page viewed equals no. Say page viewed equals 0. Otherwise, you can just say page viewed, and we just put here page viewed. So I think this is more clear. Now views is 1. If you refresh, it's 2, it's 3, and now if you 3, it's like this. But as you can see, it will change. What do you think is the downside of this? Because I was able to delete this. Is this a proper way to protect your form, for example, like the number of submits? If the client has access to this variable? Anyone? You can what? So, yeah, you can modify, you can say here variable 0. If I change it, it's fine. See? So only keep here the data that you don't care that the user can modify or change. Never. No, not intercept. You can physically view this information in the browser. I can do it here. So I can just change the data. When I can read it and I can also change it. I can say like instead of banana, I have the fruit now is I don't know, carrot, which is false because it's a vegetable. See now, it's changed because we set the script output sets the new value. But I can always put here 1, here, for example. I never put sensitive information like passwords and stuff like this. Obviously, we're going to simulate sessions with this, but when we're going to talk about authentication, but as a general rule, like in a live application, don't put here information. You can keep counters and stuff that you don't care that the user might change. So let's move on. Let's try and talk about form validation. And let's do a small project. So are you ready to code? You can see this is a code storage. Okay, so let's actually do something useful. Images. So let's rename this to something else. Index2, HTML, and let's add another one. Make another index HTML boilerplate, main.js. So this. You should have an empty page. Nothing in the console. As you can see, even if we change the page, the values that we had before, they are still here in the local storage. Okay, so let's actually do something useful. Let's go to Bootstrap. Bootstrap. Let's as practice, let's just implement Bootstrap on our page. You should know by now what to do this. So we have CSS here, and the script's done. So, by the way, as you can see, our script is after jQuery, right? Our main.js is after jQuery. Can I access methods inside this library, like the methods that Bootstrap is using? Anyone? Yes, no. So can you access methods now in our main.js? Can I access methods from jQuery? Because you see, Bootstrap is using jQuery, right? So we put Bootstrap. Okay. So just as a sideline, we can just say you can use jQuery. You can just say something like this. This is the selector for jQuery, which is $. We can say here, yeah, of course. We can say here body, I don't know, let's say CSS, style, I don't know. Body CSS, let's say, background, or put red. Put this, let's see if this works. So as you can see, we use the jQuery selector. So if you want to know more about jQuery, it's just say console. And just open the console. you can see the available methods that you can have. Right? So we're not going to talk much about jQuery here, but just as you know, just for you to know, is that you can use also the libraries that were loaded before your script. So let's remove this. Actually, I'll just comment this. This change of time really messed me up. I don't know. Today I'm really not in my game. Okay, so let's go to. Let's say, as I was saying. So we go to documentation and components, and let's go to forms. Here. So let's pick a form from here. So just pick this one from here. Everybody has it? Okay. So we pick this one, put it all in our index.html. So first of all, let's make, just comment this. I will get all the data. So I have a div container. And inside, we're going to put the div row. Okay. So here, let's say div call md4, and we pass our form. If you look, we have this now: email address and password. Let's work a bit on this form, and let's put instead of email one, let's refactor. Change our occurrence. Let's say it's email. So change also the label and also the ID here. In the password, let's change the same. We put set of example input password, which is very long. We set this password, and let's duplicate this. And we say password password confirm. Here the password confirm. Okay. And I don't know. Let's put an H. H. This is H. And type is number. The number is input. And for this checkbox, we say it's terms. These terms. And here terms. Terms and conditions. And we can leave this submit. Let's put an ID here. ID is submit button. What else? See how this works. Let's post it. Also, so you have an email address, you have a password. Okay, let's check. Set one, say password confirm here and the label. I have the H, which is a number, terms and conditions. Okay, so let's move this to the center so it's nicer. We can say offset MD. Here, maybe more MD4. So this offset MD4, we will just move the form, just move the grid to the right. Just make it centered like that. Let me just commit this for you so you don't waste time. So create. Should have the code. Everybody has the form created. If you don't have it, just to the code from there. Okay, so let's see what we need. What we need to do in our main.js. Let's select everything. So let's say we don't have an ID for the form, so I'll say ID equals register form. Actually, let's do this beforehand. So we have register form, and we also need to have say a div with an ID of errors, and we have a div ID of success. So here, for this, we're gonna show the errors here. And here we're going to show the success message. So if we take into account the way this course went so far, hopefully this form is going to be validated correctly. Let's see. So in our main.js, let's start and here, let's make some comments and say errors and success messages. We're going to say const errors equals document element by ID if errors. The same for success. I say document element by ID is success. And form const form equals form is register form. Documents get elements ID register form. Let me commit while I think about what I do next. Add messages boxes. Okay. So basically, what we did was just to select our boxes that we're going to put the errors and the success messages. Let's select the inputs. So we're going to say inputs here. We're going to have const email equals the same real document commit. Can you still hear me? Because I lost connection. Okay, just source string. Okay. So email is get elements. You can do this further because by now I think you understand what I'm going to do with all the inputs. Element by the say email. Actually, let's copy this. We're going to need the password and pass confirm is password confirm. Slow. Pass confirm. Okay. Then we have H. Is H. Okay. H. Terms. And we have, I think, submit button. Submit. Okay. Let's remove this. These are our inputs. And then we're going to make, say, array errors. I'm going to say let array equals new array, like an empty array. Everybody has this? Okay. So we're gonna commit so you can copy the entire. Fine boxes and inputs. Okay, we can wait until everybody has. Okay. Let's make a function. Let's say function validate form. And do you remember how we captured the form to it? We just did it before. One. We said how? Anyone? How did we capture the event submitting the form? Okay. Add event listener. Submit. Okay. Great. I don't need to code. I'm going to pass a function here. So in here, I'm going to call validate form first. Does nothing now. And let's create another function. Function is valid. It doesn't do anything now. We can say if not is valid. We can say here stop the form. Event default stop the form. Okay, if not, I don't know. Let's see. We can go to success here. You can add a class invisible by default. Well, it can be classes alert success, and say form successfully form submit. Okay, so we can say is this visible? Because I put in my ID. Class is invisible. So now we have our success here is not it's not visible. But if we go inside here, and if you look on our success, if you remove this invisible, we're gonna have this. Why is this not showing the success? Maybe. Yeah, we forgot to put have a typo. Success. Okay. So if you just remove the invisible class, right? Gonna show. So if it's valid, we're gonna say here success. I think success. Success class list. Remove. I'm gonna remove the invisible. So let's say for now the function returns true. Return true is valid. So let's see if this works. So if I just submit, form is submitted, you see we have the result here. Okay. This something works, right? Let's make some helper methods. So let's say if it's valid. When can we say that the form is valid by default? Do you have any ideas on how can we do this? Anyone? So we see yeah, right, but we have an error array, we have it here, right? So if the error array that we have is empty, we can say that the form is valid, right? If you don't have any errors, the form is valid. Okay. So we can say here, in the is valid, we can say return error array length is 0. So this is our validate. Obviously, this is very naive. So you could have more checks. But anyway, so let's make some function that can help us validate the inputs. So let's say function is no or undefined. We can have here the input. This is the HTML element that we're going to pass. Passing HTML input. So we can say here return input value. The value of the input is null, or if it's undefined, input value is undefined. Okay, this is one, and let's check also for empty. So function is empty. Also, you can pass an input here. So again, this is the input from this is the DOM element that has the property value. So we pass return input value equals empty string. Okay. Everybody has this, or I need to commit? Well, I think what to do next. Okay. So let's look on what type of inputs that we have. We have email address, so we need to validate for email. We have password, we need to validate for length, right? For all of these inputs, we need to validate for the fact that the input is not null or undefined or empty. We have a checkbox that we need to see if it's checked, and we also have an age that we also need to, I don't know, maybe check if the person is old enough. Maybe we're doing that kind of website. So okay, let's do first of all, let's talk about the email. So we have function is email valid. So we pass an email input. So what I do usually is that I can go, I go to a website called regexer. I just look for regexer, and it's regexer.com. So here they have some, I think, community patterns. We can search for email. So let's look for email address validation. Or email validator. This is too long. Email address, maybe this one. We copy this one here. Just gonna put it in chat. So we're gonna have our regex equals to this. This is the value that we copied from regex. To test if regex is valid, there is a method called test. You have to just believe me that there is this method. So you can just say return regex test. We're going to test that email value matches this this pattern. To be more sure, we can even make the value to lowercase. So it's get rid of some of the patterns, because actually if you look in this regex it doesn't matter, but anyway you can make it lowercase or not, it doesn't matter, it's up to you. Okay, so we can also do now function is text input valid, pass the input, and just return what? Any ideas? For text inputs, like for all the other inputs, we look for what? It's empty and it's also not null or undefined, right? So we're going to say here it's not is null or undefined input, and this is not empty. Not is empty. Input. We're going to use the method that we already created. This one and this one. Okay. Let's see what we can do. The validate form. We said that we're going to call validate form before. Okay. So I'm going to say here, if first of all the email, not this email valid, email, then I'm going to say if not this text input valid, also you can call for email, but because you have the regex, it's kind of pointless, but anyway. So we can do the same thing for password and for okay. So if they are not valid, we do what? How do we push errors in our error array? Any ideas? Yeah, but we have a list of errors. We want to capture all of them, right? So we want to push because we check the is valid. We check if the error is like. Yeah. So we can see here array push. Say email is invalid, and here we can say error array. Actually, just make password here. Pass. Yeah. Password is not valid. And let's just copy this. Error array push. Sorry. Password confirm here. Password confirmation valid. So we can say here for age, same thing. Age is not valid. after we did this, we need to do what? We need to show the errors. So to show the errors, we have our errors box here. So we can say, how do we iterate through all of the errors that we have? Any ideas? For? No, don't use for because for is ugly. What do we do? Either for off or for each or map. Okay. We say error array for each. Have error. Okay, you do. Let's create a div inside that box. Error div. You have document create element. So this is how you create an element and you can append to a page. Element, say div. Element on page. Then we do error div. Let's make it. Let's add the bootstrap alert. Let's say class list. Add alert. And say add alert danger. And let's make another node. So let's say let error node equals to document create text node. So this means that we're going to pass the error that we get from here. So we're just going to create an empty text here. And we're going to append this text node inside our newly created div. So we have error div, append child, and append child. You can put error node. And then this div, we're just going to put it to our errors. Put it here. So just append child. So errors, append child, error div. How many people did I lose here? Okay, so let's go line by line. So first of all, with the document create element, we create a new element in the page, and we create an element of type div. You can say here p of type paragraph or span or I don't know h1, h2, whatever. You can create any element you want. Just create it from thin air. This is what happens. Okay. Then this one we say, okay, I want to add, the alert. We have the bootstrap class. We have alerts here. We want to add this guy here, which is alert danger, I think. Alert danger. So we add these two classes to this element that we created from here. Right now, this element doesn't exist in the page. We didn't put it in the page yet. Then we want to put some text inside this element. What I didn't explain very well about the DOM is that the DOM it's like a tree. It has leaves and branches and so on. So basically, in this tree, you have this element, which is a node, and inside it you have another node that can be text, can be anything. So you can, in a more advanced JavaScript course, by someone probably more competent than me in vanilla JavaScript, you see that you can go through these nodes and you can select you can go through this tree, you can travel through this tree, and you can select this node by node. So basically we create a new node, which is a text node, and we append it, so we put it inside the error div that we created first. Then we take this div and we put it back inside the error box that we have here. Is it more clear? Okay. So now let's actually test, because let's look in our console. We don't have any errors. So if we submit, now we have these errors here. So if we look here, we can see that this is our box. We created this div, then we put this text inside it, and then we put this inside this. It makes any sense? So let's actually comment this. Create an element on the page. Add alert class to element newly created. Add text from error to newly created node, text node. Put text node inside newly created div. Put newly created div inside error box. Okay, I'm just going to commit this so everybody has the same. Okay, so let's think about some other. Let's think about the age here. So we have the fact that the age is not valid, but we also want to have if the age is appropriate. So what we can do is we can check if the age is appropriate. We can say something like function age is appropriate and pass the age input. And here we just return age value is greater than 18. So for this, we either want to check if this is not valid. We don't want to show two messages, right? So we just want to show one of them. So we can just make else if here. Not is age appropriate. Oh my god, choose the worst thing ever. Age is appropriate. My bad. Sorry. Pass age here, and we just push the error here. Array push. Well, say sorry. The age value. I was hunting butterflies. I don't know. Very detailed message like this. Okay. And then we want to check if the passwords, these two passwords are matching. So we can make another method. Function passwords match. We can take +1, +2. We say return +1 value equals +2 value. So this we're going to say here. If not passwords match, we have password confirm. Say here passwords do not match. And we still have the terms and conditions, I think. Terms and conditions. We can check here. Function is terms check. Terms. And here you just gonna say return terms, I think it's checked. Okay, so let's say if not these terms checked. Terms say error array push. You have to agree with our post. Yeah. So let's see. If we try now, we have all of the stuff. Let's fill an email address. Submit. So as you can see, the problem is that we continue to have all this errors. They keep stacking up, so they don't get reset. This means that we need to make a method, say function set errors, just empty the array. So we say error array equals to an empty array. We need to remove, so we can say while errors. This is our error box, our DOM. Has child nodes. We're just gonna have errors, remove child, and errors first child. Yes. Hopefully, we're not gonna have the same issues as we had when we first tried to remove and add child. Has child nodes, remove child. Okay, and we need to remove the success in case we have a success. The form is successfully submitted, we need to remove it. So you say success class is add, you say invisible. Okay. So now if we submit this, see if they stack. Ah, we forgot to call it. So before validate form, we're just gonna call reset errors. So now we always have the same errors here. Okay, so let's see if we fill the email address. Don't have the email. If we fill the password, password confirmation is not valid. Password do not match. Let's say test password and test. Submit. Age is not valid. We put 10. We have this message. We put 18. Now I think I have to be 19. Yes, and then we have terms and conditions. Submit form submitted. So we have successfully submitted the form. So let's see what we can do now. We can we should maybe do a submission because we talked about local storage. We can try to add a counter to how many times you submitted the form. Can anyone pass the code in how to do that for local storage? Local storage. Do you have any idea? Anybody can tell me how can I do a submit count? Okay. Don't remember. Okay, no problem. So our validate form. So let's put here function that validates. So let's put here let's form counter equals 0. if we validate the form, if the form is valid, right? So you can say here, instead of form counter equals 0, you can say local storage. Get form count if it's more undefined, or you can say it's 0. This is a way you can set a default value. So local storage get form count or 0. If this returns nothing, it will be 0. You can say here form counter plus plus, and local storage set item equals second get item. Set item form count, and we put the value of form counter. Okay, so form counter is local storage get item form count or 0. This is this. Okay, so we'll make another function. Function check number submissions. Return. I don't know. Let's do something like this. We say spawn. If form counter is greater than 3, return true. Otherwise, return false. So, what we can do here, we can actually push inside the array. Push on, say, you are bot. Okay, so I need to check this before validate one. So, the invisible is for this one is the class. The class for the success. So if you look here, we have this the success div, and here it's invisible. If you look on the invisible class, it's visibility hidden. So if we remove this, now we have this success div showing, which is visible now. So we have reset errors. So let's check is spawn. Actually, let's make it nicer to check. Spawn. Anyway, we can make this nicer and see if this works. Application, local storage. We have form count. And check here if form equals no. So form count 0 and local storage item form count. This is clear. So let's check now. Form count is 0 for us. If you submit errors, why is this not incrementing? Let's see. Oh, this because it wasn't submit. Yeah, okay, so it's set to submit here. So we put some test age 19, agree, submit. Phone count is 1. Go again. Test 19, 2, and the same age 19, submit. Now let's see. Password test. Actually, it worked for some reason. Check his phone. Phone counter is greater than 3. Yeah. You can actually say local storage item count. Anyway. So test again. Test 19. You get a nice message. We should also do something about this button because we don't know when we submit or not. So let's say when we validate, we start the validation. You can say here submit button. Text content equals, please wait. And we have submit button disabled equals true. So here, we disable the button. We change the text of the button. And when we end the submission, we can just put a delay. You can say it's set timeout. Have anonymous function inside. Put it on 2 seconds. So we want the button to recover. We want submit button. Content equals submit. It was before. And submit button disabled equals false. So let's check now. This one back to 0. We have our email address, test 19. Now when I submit let's make the form submit to itself. So we still stay in the same page. We can say action equals hashtag or whatever it is, or how it's in French. So say again test 19. So now we're going to stay on the page. After that, the button is going to recover. Okay. I'm going to commit this. If you have any ideas, you can add to the form. You can make it nicer. You can make it change color. For example, the button. You can make the button change color. Whatever. You can put a spinner if you want. Is everything clear? Do you want me to explain the code again? Because I now realize it's a bit long. So we don't store the form data anywhere, but we could store it. Let's make another function. Let's store it in the local storage. Function store data. So ideally, you would send this data. You would send this data to a server. Java application, Python, Node, whatever. And that data would be stored in the database. But if you just wanted to store it on the client, say data. We can make a object literal. And let's say that say store equals something like this, and we have let's copy this once. I'm just going to put this so I can see them. So we have email will be email with value. Pass. It's not going to show the pass. I'm just going to put something like this. Pass confirm. Maybe this. Age. Say age value. You can also serialize the form. We can just just check on Google serialize form data in JavaScript. Not to jQuery. Document first, okay. Serialize form. Basically, you need to go through all the elements in the form and pass if you want to do it automatically. You need to go through all of the elements of the form and either recursively or with the for loop or and then take all the values if you want to do it automatically. If not, you can just say by terms. Just say like this, an object literal. It's terms check. And that's it, I think. So we can local storage, set item, data, store. So if this is success, we can say here store data. Data, and we just pass the object here. The lazy programming, but yeah. So, say here data equals this. Store data. Okay. And after this, you can say form reset. Reset the form, so we don't have any information on the. We don't have any information stored in the form. So we say test page 19 submit. Okay, for some reason, we don't have the data. Yeah, I think we can just say here JSON stringify data. So local storage can only accept yeah. So if you want to have a list of members with data and passwords and everything, you need to use a server. You need to post this to a server. But we're gonna see this next time when we're gonna install Angular for the first time. Actually, maybe we start this session to install Node.js. So next time we're ready. So let's see if this works. Store data. See, I don't know, maybe see what's happening. For some reason, I don't store. Why don't I store the data here? Yeah. Thanks. See something here. Let's see if there's something in the console already. So, store data, JSON string for data should be fine. Log. Let's see if we have the values here. We have the data here, but yeah, now I have, for some reason, I don't know. Maybe I didn't save it, I don't understand. Yeah, probably I didn't save it. But now we have the data in the DB. In the DB. Okay. So yeah, you could have, for example, instead of having a data here, you could have an array of data. You could push the data every time you submit the form, so you can store it. Obviously, there's no point in storing the data in the client, except when, I don't know, maybe you want to have the data offline, and when the client comes online again, gonna submit the data automatically. So you can do something like a PWA, which is a progressive web app. That so progressive web app, it's an application that it's can be installed, a web app that can be installed on a device, on a mobile phone, whatever. You can work offline. So with that, you can store some data offline. Then when the application comes online, you can synchronize. That's a bit more complicated because a PWA works with or a service worker works with some other technologies, but the gist is that you can do stuff like this. Okay, so this concludes the form validation. I hope it's a bit messy, but I hope you understand the code. Just install something here. I want let's install this. Let's make things nicer a bit. Does this work? Section. It's with alt. Okay, so it's alt plus. Okay, it's nicer. So here, I'll align the code for you. Okay, so I'm gonna commit this. So you have the code. Validation. Okay. So for the next time, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is that the assignment I'm going to give you today, it's the last course assignment. The bad news is that the next assignment is going to be your project that you need to give it to me before the exam, preferably a week before the exam. Is anybody there or copy? Okay. Okay, so Let's do some preparation work for next time. Last time I released you a bit earlier because I wasn't paying attention to watch, but let's do a bit of some preparation for next time, because next time I'm going to start with Angular. So the first thing I want you to do is to install Node.js. And to install Node.js, so this is the only thing that you're going to need to install for this course, by the way. Node.js. You look for Node.js in Google. Click on Node.js.org. So here you have for Windows, there's also for Mac, and there's also for Linux. For Linux, you can install it via command line. Maybe if you have Ubuntu, up to get installed whatever. CentOS or say yum install Node.js. But for Linux, for Windows, and for Mac, you can go to this website. And you can look for Node.js. See Node.js for Mac. Node.js for Mac. We have here. You have the Windows installer, the Mac OS installer, and you can have also the binaries for Linux if you want to install it via binaries, which I don't think you want, but so everybody, please go to this website and start installing Node.js. If you have it, fine. Let me know. Can I when you finish installing Node.js? It's done. Great. You are the champion. Next one. That connection. Yeah. So the idea is that when you're finished, you go to command line. So you open a command line. Nice. And you should have something. If you type node -v like this, you should have something like this, some sort of version. Everybody has it. What are your versions? Can you type in chat? 8.10. Yeah, the version is very important because we're gonna install Angular CLI, and Angular CLI I think requires above 8 or 9. I don't know, but we can try now and see if it's an issue. We can upgrade. So if you type npm -v, okay, if you type npm -v, ooh, that's a very old. What? You don't have npm? You have Node and you don't have npm? Yeah, this is a very old version of npm that we have, guys. Let me check. Upgrade. JS. I think this should be just npm upgrade. That's it. But let's check. I don't think you have npm. Okay. npm should be by default with Node.js. Should come. If not, if you cannot upgrade, you can just uninstall and install again. The idea is that we're going to use Angular CLI, and I want for cool. This works, I guess. Okay, so we can try this command that Alexander. Let's Google this. Okay, so let's try to the versions that you have. Let's try to install Angular CLI. So go into your course. Let's make course 4. Make a new folder. Make course 4. Everybody done? So open a command line here. We are waiting for you to install Node.js. We have really bad connection with or bad computer. I don't know. Yeah. So for everybody else who needs it, you can have a P break or I don't know until everybody installs Node.js. I really would like to have this doing now. They're doing last night, next session. Waiting for you to install everything. Okay. So we're just gonna go for a bit with Angular, and if you have npm installed, you just need to type this command here. I'm just gonna npm install minus. Yeah, I don't think that works. I think you need to uninstall and then upgrade. You can upgrade your npm and Node.js via nvm, but I think you need to follow that link I posted. So yeah, let's try to install Angular CLI and see what version do we get. If it's above version 5, version 6, it's fine. Even if there's some differences, it's okay. So just type npm install -g Angular CLI. I put in chat, I put the command for you. So you should have something like npm install -g Angular CLI. So npm is it's called it stands for Node Package Manager, just like pip or Composer or Maven. Java, pip for Python, and Composer for PHP. Anyway, so it's a package manager. I had it installed before, but apparently it upgraded for me. Let me know if you managed to install, and after that, you just say ng ---- version. What do we get? You say ng ---- version after you install it. So node minus v and npm minus v to check for Node.js and npm command line. cmd, cmd, and then hopefully it will work. Why do you have you used Node.js in other projects, or why do you have so older version? It's real funny and weird. Okay, install Angular CLI. Greater than 9 would be preferable. 9, 10, like that. But anyway, try to install Angular CLI, see what you get. The version that you have. So again is npm. Yeah. Exactly. That's why I'm arguing with you why you should have a greater version. So you need to install to upgrade your. Yeah, you can update Node. I'll look for a guide. I'll put a guide for you in Slack to update Node directly, or you can just uninstall and install again. If you are using Windows, you can uninstall Node.js. Angular CLI should work also with older version. I don't understand why. Probably because of the new Angular is using a new rendering engine. So anyway, for next time, I need you to install if you don't have Node.js and npm, and or upgrade to a newer version. I will look for a guide to send you to upgrade Node.js, and also install Angular CLI for the next time. And also, if you get the time, you need to make a form like I did, and try to write your own validation to validate the form. So like this form with text inputs, with checkboxes and stuff like that. Make a new form and validate it. But the main thing is to install Node.js and have Angular CLI installed for next time. This is the requirement. So this I'm not asking you to do it. I demand you to do it. Okay, thanks. Okay, so there you go, folks. This is the lessons for today. Sorry for for some blabbers and for some fails, but I don't know. It wasn't my day today to teach. So have a good day and stay safe. Bye bye.